They invited a lonely old man for Christmas. What he did shocked them. Asterisk. The snow had fallen heavy at Christmas Eve, blanketing the small town of Willow Creek in a haunting silence. The world outside seemed frozen in time, shimmering beneath flickering street lamps and glistening rooftops. But inside one particular house, warm lights twinkled, laughter rang through the air, and the smell of cinnamon and pine danced around like invisible holiday spirits. It was a picture-perfect holiday scene, until the front door creaked open, and an old man stepped inside. He wasn't expected. He wasn't family. He was just a guest, a stranger. But what happened over the next 24 hours would change that. Family forever. Because what this lonely old man did no one saw coming. Asterisk, before we dive deeper into this powerful story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the healing power of human connection, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to USA Soul Stories. Your support helps spread these stories of hope and humanity far and wide. Asterisk, he was called Mr. Whitaker by most in town, though few actually knew his first name. Some said it was Charles. Others believed it was Henry. No one really knew for sure. What they did know was that he lived alone at the end of Marigold Lane, in a house that hadn't seen a Christmas wreath or a glowing window in over a decade. Children whispered about him like he was a ghost. Parents simply called him the old man down the road. He rarely came to town just enough to grab a few groceries, always paying in exact change, always nodding politely, never lingering. Asterisk, no one ever saw visitors at his home. No lights, no decorations, no packages, no joy. Just silence. Asterisk, it was 8-year-old Lily Thompson who noticed him most. Her family had just moved into the neighborhood last spring. Curious and tender-hearted, Lily was unlike other children. She didn't fear Mr. Whitaker. She felt sorry for him. Every day she'd wave as the school bus passed his home, and sometimes he'd raise a stiff hand in return. Once, she even saw him pick up a fallen bird and gently set it beneath a bush to rest. She told her mom, Jennifer, about it, and Jennifer began to notice the man, too, not just as a neighbor, but as someone who seemed to carry a weight no one could see. Asterisk, as December arrived, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that no one deserved to be alone at Christmas. And so, after some hesitation, she sent Lily over with a card, hand-drawn with a Christmas tree and a big, crooked smile. Lily knocked gently and left it on the doorstep, running back to her mom as the door creaked open behind her. Mr. Whitaker didn't say a word. He looked down at the card, then up at the girl in the distance, and gave her a faint, almost invisible smile. That small gesture set something in motion. 3 days before Christmas, Jennifer invited Mr. Whitaker to join them for dinner on Christmas Day. She didn't expect him to come. In fact, she half expected the invitation to end up in the trash. But to her surprise, on Christmas morning, just as snowflakes began to dance through the gray sky, Mr. Whitaker knocked softly on their door. Asterisk, he wore an old suit, carefully pressed, and held a box wrapped in faded paper likely reused from years ago. His hands trembled slightly as he greeted them. Jennifer welcomed him warmly. Lily beamed, and her husband David, though a bit surprised, extended his hand with a smile. The Thompsons had prepared a beautiful feast turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and pies of every flavor. But for Mr. Whitaker, the real feast was the warmth of family. He sat quietly at first, listening to stories, watching Lily open her gifts, observing the affectionate banter of the Thompsons. There was a glint in his eyes, a flicker of something long buried. Asterisk, when it came time to eat, they invited Mr. Whitaker to say grace. He looked surprised, almost caught off guard, but nodded. What came next silenced the room. Asterisk, his voice, though raspy, carried deep emotion. He thanked the family, not just for the meal, but for letting him feel human again. Then slowly, he began to tell a story no one in town had ever heard. Many years ago, Mr. Whitaker had a wife named Evelyn and a son named Jacob. They were his entire world. Christmas was always their favorite holiday, full of laughter, music, and love. But one snowy Christmas Eve, tragedy struck. A drunk driver hit their car as they returned from midnight mass. Evelyn died on impact. Jacob, only 9 years old, survived for 3 more days before slipping away in the hospital. Mr. Whitaker never recovered. He shut down, cut off the world, and buried himself in solitude, believing he didn't deserve joy ever again. As he spoke, tears rolled down Jennifer's cheeks. David looked down, struggling to hold his composure, and little Lily climbed into Mr. Whitaker's lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. "I'm your family now," she whispered. In that moment, something broke and something else healed. But the real shock came the next morning. Before the family had even finished breakfast, there was a knock at the door. Mr. Whitaker was back, holding the same box from the day before. He handed it to Jennifer, asking her to open it. Inside were old photographs, drawings from his son, love letters from his wife, and a small wooden music box that played a hauntingly beautiful tune. It was his heart, offered up like a fragile gift. "I want these to live again," he said softly, "not in dust, in love." Jennifer was overwhelmed. She promised to keep them safe, to let Lily learn from them, to let those memories become part of their family story. Weeks passed, and Mr. Whitaker began coming over regularly. He taught David how to carve wood. He helped Lily build a birdhouse. He even began attending church again. Spring came, and with it, a garden bloomed outside the Thompson home, with roses that Mr. Whitaker had once planted for his Evelyn now, given a new life with Lily's help. A year later, on Christmas Day, Mr. Whitaker passed away quietly in his sleep. On his bedside table was a photo of the Thompsons, a small hand-drawn Christmas card from Lily, and the music box still playing faintly. The whole town attended his funeral. People who once ignored him now wept openly. But it wasn't just sorrow, it was gratitude. Gratitude for a man who reminded them all that it's never too late for love, for connection, and for healing. In his will, he left everything to the Thompson family with a note. "You reminded me what it means to be alive. Thank you for saving me." If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to USA Soul Stories. Your support helps bring more stories like this to those who need them most. Sometimes, a simple act of kindness can change a life, and sometimes it can save one. Special request. In the comments, please share the kindest thing someone has ever done for you, or something kind you did for someone. Let's fill this space with light. Absolutely. Here's the extended version of the story, continuing from where we left off, deepening the emotional arc, building more suspense, and extending the narrative toward a full-length, cinematic 6,000-word structure. This version includes additional character development, emotional turns, and a powerful, inspirational ending to truly move the audience. They invited a lonely old man for Christmas. What he did shocked them. Extended story, Part 2. In the weeks following Mr. Whitaker's quiet funeral, the Thompson home felt different. Not somber, but sacred. It was as if the very walls had absorbed something beautiful from his presence, something quietly powerful. Jennifer would often find herself pausing in the kitchen, looking at the photo of Mr. Whitaker and Lily on the mantel, her heart stirring with something between sadness and reverence. He had become family, and his absence was deeply felt. But something remarkable began to happen. Asterisk neighbors who had once merely nodded in passing now stopped to talk. The story of Mr. Whitaker's Christmas redemption had rippled across Willow Creek. People whispered it in coffee shops, retold it in churches, and even teachers mentioned it in classrooms, how a family's simple act of kindness had given a lonely man the courage to reconnect with life before death found him. Asterisk Jennifer started receiving letters from other elderly residents, from war veterans, from widows. Some wanted to thank her. Others wanted to confess their own loneliness. One letter stood out, a handwritten note from an old woman named Edna Jacobs, who had lived 3 blocks away. For 30 years, she wrote, I knew Charles. I was at his wedding, but after Evelyn and Jacob died, he locked everyone out. We tried, but he built a wall. I wish I'd tried harder. I wish I'd known it only took a child's drawing to open that gate again. Jennifer read that letter a dozen times. So when Christmas came around again the next year, she made a decision that would echo far beyond her own front door. She and David, along with Lily, now 9 and still full of bright wonder, began a tradition they would call the empty chair. Asterisk, they placed an extra chair at their Christmas table. Not symbolic, not decorative, a real chair. A seat reserved for someone in the community who might otherwise spend Christmas alone. And they didn't just do it for 1 year. They did it every year after that. Asterisk, the first year, it was Miss Edna herself. She came dressed in navy blue, clutching a small velvet purse and trembling with nerves. But when she walked into the Thompson home and saw Lily run up to hug her, she cried so hard she had to sit down immediately. That night, she shared stories from her youth, taught Lily a long-forgotten lullaby, and baked her famous pecan pie for the first time in 20 years. Asterisk, the year after that, it was a man named George who had recently lost his wife to cancer. Then, a quiet librarian named Mrs. Patel, whose children lived overseas. Then a young veteran struggling with PTSD. Asterisk, every year, someone new. Every year, someone seen. Asterisk, word spread. Newspapers began covering the story of the empty chair Christmas, and soon other families joined in. Across Willow Creek, dozens of homes began saving a chair at their table. The town was no longer just a quiet speck on the map. It had become a place known for compassion, where no one was left to face holidays in silence. Lily grew up amidst this magic. She didn't just learn generosity, she lived it. Every year, she'd help decorate the special chair, often placing a small ornament or candle beside it. She never forgot Mr. Whitaker. His music box still sat on her bookshelf, and every Christmas Eve, she'd wind it up, sit by her window, and watch the snow fall, remembering the man who taught her what empathy meant. Asterisk, when she turned 16, she did something unexpected. Asterisk, instead of throwing a birthday party, she asked her parents if she could spend the day volunteering at the local senior center. Her reason was simple. I don't want to celebrate unless I can share it with people who need love the most. Asterisk, that day, she met dozens of people who reminded her of Mr. Whitaker, faces lined with time, eyes heavy with stories, hearts aching to be remembered. Asterisk, she brought cookies, sang carols, and listened for hours. At the end of the day, one of the elderly women grabbed her hand and whispered, "You remind me of someone I once loved deeply." Asterisk, that moment stayed with Lily, so much so that when she graduated high school, she decided to pursue social work. Her dream? To build a community center named after Mr. Whitaker, the Whitaker Haven, where seniors, widows, orphans, and the forgotten could find companionship and comfort. Asterisk, she launched a fundraiser. The town rallied. Former guests of the empty chair came forward with donations. One man donated his truck. A baker offered to supply free meals. Even people who had only heard the story online sent what they could. Asterisk 3 years later, the Whitaker Haven opened its doors. Asterisk on opening day, as reporters asked Lily what inspired her. She simply held up a yellowed card, the same one she had drawn as a child. A card that began everything. Asterisk, a lonely man once gave me his whole heart in exchange for a crayon drawing, she said, her voice breaking. He didn't need gifts or parties. He just needed to be seen. That's what this place is for. If this story reached deep into your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who might need to believe in the goodness of humanity again. And if you haven't already, subscribe to USA Soul Stories so we can keep bringing you tales that inspire, heal, and bring us all a little closer. Special request. Asterisk, before you leave, please share in the comments. Have you ever helped someone who seemed forgotten? Or has someone ever reminded you that you matter when you felt invisible? Let's turn the comment section into a wall of kindness, memory, and hope. Would you like me to help you convert this into a spoken script or format it specifically for YouTube narration timing and pacing?